To our hale. Aloha. Nice. But yeah.
Aloha, everyone. Aloha. Come on in. Come on in.
Okay. No music. We're just gonna aloha everyone in.
Okay. Good. You can see people in the waiting room, Tish.
I can't see anyone right. Oh, we got one person coming on.
Morning.
One early bird that joined. Good morning.
Day off, everybody. Day off.
Yeah, yes. Doing something a
We're
little
working
different
hard. We're
today.
working away. Yes.
Yeah. We're just talking story. No, so that's why I was saying that the students who are trying to get into social services, it's really great to be able to explain to them how they will be in a very special place if they decide that, oh, you know what, I just want to come volunteer and see how it is to be, you know, with the different kupuna all over, different cultures, everything, you know. And like you were saying, Koeho, the wisdom comes through all the kupuna, right? They have all the stories.
That's right.
And you get that, right?
To think about and ponder upon just knowing that one day will be those kupuna too.
Yeah.
So that's what struck it as important to me, that one day we'll be there, we'll be that age. You know, it's not that we're not gonna, I said we're gonna get there too someday. So important that we learn all that we can from them to help us better move forward as the future kupuna. Be a good kupuna for the next generation. I've always been old school, always just, I think that's just from spending time with Ohana and storytelling and playing music and singing and just being amongst each other in Ka'u on my mom's side and Kalapana and in Kona on my father's side and just big Ohana. We have ties all over the island. So it's just such a blessing. I ran into one of my aunties from Pu'anahulu at Kitie on Friday in Waikoloa, and I hadn't seen her for over 10 years. So nice to reconnect like that in aisle 6 at Kitie. And I recognized her. I said, Auntie, it's Ku'ehu, and my auntie, Carol, Kiakialani. So all family. I love those moments. Meant to be, never, no coincidences, as they say. Yeah.
So, you know, when the family would come together, was it both sides of the family that always did music and singing and, you know, whatever the both sides?
That was another blessing. There was always somebody that played ukulele, or just always musicians in the Ohana, always had singers. So I think that flowed down into all of us these days, and why I work in radio and how I get to work in the entertainment industry. I love to sing, love to just kaning kapila with my cousins. And it's special that music too is a whole nother thing, because it's a language. It keeps us connected. Hawaiians at heart, everybody, it's special because you're communicating that love through song too. So it's a lot of love. Oh, plenty love.
Did most of your family grow up on the Big Island, or all over? They would come from other islands.
Hawaii Island. So Hawaii Island. So my mother's side comes from Waiahinu Ka'u. We have ties to Ka'u district, and then my mother's father's side comes from Kalapana, so we have ties to Puna district, and then on my father's side, Hilo, and then to the west side where I am, Pu'anahulu, Kiholo, Kiakialani, Ku'ehu. So my great grandma on my father's side is the one that gave me my name. It's Inoa Kupuna, an ancestral family name from my Kona family. Yeah.
So what does it mean?
Yeah, well, it's a family name, Ku'ehu, so it's actually our last name from Pu'anahulu, and it's actually Pu'anahulu ab Mauga side, and then all the way down to Kiholo. You know, Auntie always mentions too that we're all related somehow, the four corners of the island. But the word Ku'ehu is like to stir up, as in the wind. There's so many different meanings with Hawaiian words, but it's our family name. It's our last name. Kialani Ku'ehu. So Tutu on my father's side, my great grandma gave that to me as my first name. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful meaning, and you totally swirl it up, boy. You totally do it.
In all the good ways, yeah, always a good time.
All the good ways, yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to give a shout out to all of our listeners. Aloha, everyone who just joined on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Kuehu, we have Nick, who also said, "Why Uhino represent?"
Right.
To give that
Outside in the house.
little thank you so much. We're doing things a little bit differently here on Talk Story this month. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll get started. It's 10:02. And I just want to say aloha to everyone and welcome to Hawaii Care Choices Healthcare Talk Story. You got some of the behind the scenes of Kuehu, myself, and Lonnie just talking story as we do here. I'm Tish Lopez, your moderator this morning. Huge mahalo to all of the dedicated listeners that come on every single month. And if you're joining for the first time today, I just want to say thank you, aloha, and and a happy, beautiful Aloha Monday to you. And just a friendly reminder, today's talk story is being recorded so that you and others may access it in the future. All of our presentations are available on our YouTube channel simply by searching Hawaii Care Choices. All right, here we go. Hawaii Care Choices is also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us to see content, upcoming events, just like Talk Story and our future reminders, get to know our team, supportive community members, and hear patient stories. You also see Kuehu on there as well. He does some of the Tish's takeaways. So thank you so much, Kuehu, for jumping on with us. When you can is when I see you. For those of you that are joining on Zoom, your bottom of your screen should look like this. Please click on the chat box and say aloha to everyone here and let us know where you are joining in from. Today's healthcare talk story will be diving in and talking about palliative and hospice care and how it can align with traditional and cultural medicines. You may ask any of our panelists throughout the presentation a question by clicking the Q&A box at the bottom at any time. You can also feel free to chat to all of the listeners using that chat box right there. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, I'm IT support and here, so doing a little bit of both. So all of you watching on Facebook Live, thank you so much for joining us and aloha. Please use your comment box to say aloha and let us know where you are joining in from. Feel free to chat in questions as well as share your reaction buttons for this talk story using your chat box or the reactions. And I have to personally say, we also love the hearts. And if you share this live with your friends who may need to listen to it today. We are also doing polls today. For those of you watching from Facebook Live, you will not be able to see the polls pop up, but we still want to hear from you using that comment box. Everyone is welcomed in the fully engaged Zoom presentation next month by emailing me at llopez@hawaiicarechoices.org, and I will send you the link. Polling is very simple. Brain teaser bell will ring and a question will pop up similar to what you see here on your screen. Please make the selection you think is best. No right or wrong answers. Just want to get your feedback. To kick things off, we are going to do a quick icebreaker. All right, so question on the screen. Would you rather climb a mountain, swim in the ocean, go on a road trip, or read a book in your favorite spot? Again, no right or wrong answers. Click the answer that you think is best and click the submit button below. Friends, for those of you on Facebook Live, please let us know. Would you like to climb a mountain, swim in the ocean, go on a road trip, or read a good book in your favorite spot? All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the polling there and share the results. So 13% of you said climb a mountain, 50% of you said swim in the ocean, 13% said go on a road trip, and 25% said read a good book in your favorite spot. We also got some climb a mountain and road trip on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for sending in your answers. I'm going to stop right there and we shall move to our next slide. All right, there it is. Joining us this morning is community advocate, writer, and Best of East Hawaii 2022 radio personality from KWXX, the Breakfast Luau DJ, Kuehu Mauga. Aloha and welcome, Kuehu.
Good morning, Tish. Morning, Lani.
Next, I'd like to introduce Lonnie Weigert, who is striving to raise the awareness about palliative, hospice, and bereavement care in hopes to provide a world-class healthcare choices and solutions for all. Please give a warm virtual welcome to Lani Weigert. Aloha, Lani.
Aloha, my family. Aloha.
This morning, Lani and Ku'ehu will talk story about the secrets of palliative care and how it can align with traditional and cultural medicines. Our guest, Ku'ehu Mauga, community advocate, writer, and popular KWXX DJ from Keaukaha, will share his experiences and perspectives on growing up with a mix of traditional and modern approaches to healthcare. As a Native Hawaiian, he'll share how his life experiences has shaped his understanding of effective quality healthcare and the ease or difficulty he sees in accessing that care. I am so excited for all of you to be on Healthcare Talk Story today. Friends, here we go. All right, so we did something a little different this morning. Ku'ehu and Lani were just talking a little bit, talk story about the history of his name, and some of you may have missed it, so I'm gonna dive in. Ku'ehu, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where did you grow up, for those who wasn't able to log on early?
All good. Aloha kakayaka kako. Good morning, family. My name is Ku'ehu Lihong Mauga. Blessed to be here to just share with an open heart and an open mind, and just blessed to be alive, above ground, to see another day with all of you as we continue to talk about health and all the benefits of living a healthy lifestyle and just living, period. So I was born and raised here on Hawaii Island, Mokokiave, on the Hilo side, and attended St. Joseph Elementary School, onward 6th grade till graduation in 2011 at Kamehameha Schools, and been blessed to work in the entertainment industry. In around 2013, started dipping into radio through my mentor, Skylark, the Honolulu Skylark Rossetti, who allowed me that opportunity to touch even more people's lives through that of Hawaiian music, through that of island music, and I've been working in radio for, I want to say, nearly 8 years now, and then more recently, KWXX Breakfast Luau, approaching 2 years of doing the morning show with New West Broadcasting. So good morning to my family there, our boss Chris Leonard, his wife Kathy, and of course my partner Loeka, and all of our radio industry, entertainment, and just blessed to be here with the both of you and all of our viewers.
Thank you so much. We are so blessed to have you. And speaking of where you are joining from, I believe you are joining from Waikoloa, is that right?
Waikoloa, a short staycation with the family. See, sometimes I'm learning that as I go through my own journey in life. So spent the weekend here and on my way back to Hilo later today. But of course, I'm happy to make time for all that you folks do at Hawaii Care Choices.
We are so thankful that you are making the time during your vacation for us. We're so honored. Talking about healthcare, what is the approach regarding healthcare in your family? What are some of your family's cultural beliefs and traditional medicine practices?
It was perfect that we spent this weekend together with my older cousins, my younger cousins, because I got, different mana'o from them, and we were talking about some of the and the questions. And I said, cousins, what did you folks do when you were growing up? What did grandma tell you? What did grandpa tell you? Was it always modern medicine? Was it always straight to the Aleve, Tylenol, and Advil? Or was it more traditional? Was it Hawaiian salt? You go down to the ocean. Was it kukui? Was it ava? Was it lauki, the tea leaf? And I think it's a mixture of both, Tish, to answer that question. I think it's a layered question because to each his own. And we live in a Western world these days as Hawaiians, so we've had to adapt over different generations, and our history as Hawaiians has affected that. So I want to say it's a mixture of both. For me, growing up in the 90s, I was born in 92, so it was a mixture of both. But I feel like they worked well together, learning both sides. There's like a happy medium between both traditional, cultural, and modern. And whatever works for some might not work for all, but that's why it would depend on what ohana you ask and what protocol and traditions that they grew up on. So for me, it was a mixture of both, fever, or go pick tea leaf outside, go get you the leaf of the tea leaf plant and put it on your head, put it on your back. But at other times, maybe, congestion, cannot breathe before going to bed, grab the Vicks. Everything was Vicks for us growing up too. So this, so that, just put Vicks. That's why I joke about it now, but it's so true because Vicks was everything for, I know, a lot of us locals too. So I to answer that question, I would say a mixture of both.
Awesome. And it's so good to hear that your ohana was able to kind of
Yeah.
give their
Yes.
input on it as well. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you asking others as well as
Yeah.
your experiences too. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Lonnie. It's for her to explain what is palliative care.
Oh, mahalo Tish, mahalo Koehu. I mean, I have to laugh when I think about Vicks on
Right.
how, you know, it didn't matter if they didn't have anything else at the store but Vicks, because that's really the only thing that we want. I mean, toothache, anything, I mean, we're gonna use the Vicks. It's just amazing, amazing. Anyway, I love that, and I know that people on the presentation can totally relate to that as well. It was just so rampant, and it's endearing to hear it really now. But anyway, getting right back to this about palliative care, why I wanted to share about palliative care today too is a lot of times people don't even know what palliative care is. People don't really talk about it, but it's a very specialized type of care. And many people will say, well, I'd like palliative care, but my doctor never told me about it. And it's not always, it's really my honor and my privilege to share the information with you, because many people need to ask for palliative care if that's something that they want. To palliate is to ease, to alleviate, to relieve, to soothe. It goes beyond routine care, but it's not end of life care, which is, I think, sometimes confusing for some of the physicians, where they just send to palliative care. But that's okay. When we get the people, then we're able to help determine really where they need to go. And many physicians, they don't often discuss palliative care because they really, I think they get a little confused, or maybe it's a little fuzzy as to what palliative care does, but you probably will need to ask for it. And here on this picture here, it has our registered nurse, our licensed social worker, and our nurse practitioner who would be part of the team. So in this picture here, we have Jason, our registered nurse, and then our patient, Debbie Kenui, and then our provider, who's also our nurse practitioner. So we have an expert team that comes out and takes care of those who are on kupu care. Kupu care is our palliative care program. Kupu is the ferns that grow off the hapu'u tree. You see it, it's all over the island. I mean, some will have it in the yard, but some you could just see it on your way down to Volcano. And this particular program is called kupu because of the sprouting of different services that we provide on kupu care. The other thing too is kupu is the first fern that normally comes forward after some type of devastation. So, you know, there could be a lava flow, and the first sign of life normally is the kupu fern. So appropriately, we named this program Kupu Care. And of course, it's for any age, even babies. So more about the secrets of palliative care. You know, besides the information that's already on the screen, you know, a lot of companies don't really talk about palliative care because they actually make a lot of money from treatments that they provide. Not to say that they're trying to be underhanded, but just to say that all of the patients do have the power of making their own choice and taking care of their own kuleana. So it's important to know that a lot of times people will be told, okay, well, there's all these treatments and you can have this and have that. But when it comes down to it, we can't all afford all those treatments, and neither do we want them or need them. But without palliative care, we certainly don't know either way. And that's the importance about having palliative care, and that you know, without it, people will frequently go to urgent care or maybe to the emergency room, or they'll call their doctor at all times of the night because they just have anxiety. They just don't know what is going on. No one has actually explained to them what to expect on their disease approach. And so as a result, you know, they experience a lot of discomfort. Part of that discomfort is if you don't know about the serious illness that you may be dealing with, you could be going to the hospital and spending a lot of money, or even calling 911 and going on the ambulance, which, by the way, I mean, an ambulance trip to the hospital could be anywhere from $800 to $1,000 or more for just a one-way trip. And all of these things can be alleviated, eliminated, possibly even too, if somebody signs up early for palliative care. And largely because everybody that is trying to present this information to you, we just don't want you to have to suffer. It's totally unnecessary, and avoid all that time waiting in the emergency room. If you've gone to the emergency room before because you broke an arm, or you cannot breathe or something, it's really horrible to be sitting in that emergency room, waiting and sometimes waiting for hours, when you may not even have had to do that had you had palliative care. So for the most part, my real message to you is, although it could be a secret to many because they don't understand about palliative care, you just ask for it. Just go to the doctor and ask for it.
That's right. We are giving you the secret here so that you know and that you can go ahead and ask for it. Kuehu, in regards of all of this access that we can have now and today, what kind of access did you have when you were growing up? What kind of access to care?
Wow. Well, thankfully, for me, I grew up in the 90s. I'll be 30 in December. I know ain't no shame in my game about my age, but I'm starting to, get older now. So health is always important. Health is always a priority, because without it, hard to do anything else. But I grew up as an asthmatic, living in Keaukaha, and then eventually moving up to Keaukaha with more family. But maybe 20 years now, we used to live in Keaukaha. So was a part of my life. But the doctors, it was a lot of modern medicine mixed with cultural la'au lapa'au and a lot of pule. So it was, as I mentioned earlier, a mixture of both. So the access for me was there as a youngin'. And I know that's different for everybody, but for me, that was there, whether it was, for us on the East Side Hilo Medical Center, or my Dr. Mears was actually my Dr. Wanda Mears, my physician when I was growing up, my pediatrician. And at one time I was actually, speaking of what Lani was talking about, I was on every medication you could think of as an asthmatic, and growing up in that kind of atmosphere. Wasn't easy, but through the power of prayer, it was spiritual, it was mental, it was physical. So to answer your question, the access was available for me growing up.
Wonderful. I know. I'm so happy that you shared the Vicks, because we have so many people that are saying, "Yep, I grew up with the Vicks. I grew up
the locals know.
Vicks rub users."
Even the smallest of things, just put Vicks, you're fine.
Yes,
it's really a mental thing too. I was talking about it with my ohana. I think when it comes to health, I mean, of course, the physical is just as important, but sometimes I think our mind can kind of play tricks on us and worsen the illness, whether it's a fever or a sore throat or an ear infection. Sometimes it's you got to work through yourself mentally to speak that into existence, that no, I'm going to get better. So that ties in with spiritual kinds of things too.
Absolutely. I can just still hear my grandma is, "Okay, calm down, no worry.
You're fine, make strong,
put your socks on and go sleep."
Exactly. Go sleep. All you need is some good rest, go drink water, go jump in the ocean, put Vicks.
Absolutely.
Palliative care, I'm learning with all of you folks, all of you viewers, again, too. So mahalo Lani, about that safe haven option that, that we may not know about.
Yes. And speaking of not knowing about, we're going to go ahead and give it back over to Lani so she can explain more about palliative care.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kuehu. Your comments are just priceless. That's so awesome. Thank you as well, Tish. So here, which are the serious illnesses am I talking about specifically for palliative care? So on your screen, cancer, congestive heart failure, COPD, kidney and renal disease, as well as lung disease. These are very serious illnesses. However, people still live active lives and deal with, just like what was saying. I mean, he was growing up, he had asthma, just like my brothers too, and whatever. But it didn't mean that they weren't going to play baseball and all that other stuff. I mean, we still were able to live a very active life. And so that's why with palliative care, even with these serious illnesses, we are constantly living. And that is the beauty of palliative care, because it really allows people to continue to do what it is that they love to do. Now, one of the indicators that would tell someone that they could use palliative care is if their activities of daily living or even their quality of life starts to lessen in some way. Then probably they would need palliative care. And when I say activities of living, I'm saying like, maybe it's difficult now to make a meal for yourself or do light housework or just certain things like drive to the store and then you cannot remember. Well, I'll take that one back. I mean, that happens to me now, but I'm just saying that, there's certain things that you're doing physically that you can't do as well once the discomfort of these illnesses kick in. And when I say the discomfort, it's like, for example, like cancer, you could actually have treatments that you're taking and things that would be like, if you're doing any kind of radiation or chemotherapy, then there's a lot of discomfort that's associated with that. Maybe it's pain, maybe nausea, etc. But if you don't know how to deal with it, how to manage it, how to cope with it, then it starts to really get depressing because it becomes chronic. And every day you wake up, it's like, oh, I don't feel good, on and on. That is definitely when you need palliative care. And palliative care doesn't only affect the patient, it's a family thing. Like the entire family is affected by anybody that has a serious illness in the family. And so it's important to know that palliative care will not only support the patient, but for the entire family as well. And that's one of the main reasons I say to sign up early for it. And also, a lot of times, when we don't know what's going on, there's a lot of anxiety that happens with it. So palliative care is very consultative in nature. In other words, we're not coming to the house and doing wound care. We're actually sending an expert team there to educate the patient and the family on finding different ways to manage the symptoms, especially the pain. And the pain doesn't only have to be physical. It can be emotional pain, like depression, or it can be spiritual pain, like, I wish my family would stop feuding over the land. It just makes me feel so sad. Or financial pain. I don't know if something happens to me, if the family's going to be able to pay the mortgage. Those are the kinds of pains that we are able to deal with. So let's just take it this way. The physician will be focusing on the disease. And the team with Kupu Care will come to the home and take care of all of the different things about the patient. We'll really focus on the patient and focus on the family as well.
Thank you so much, Alani. It's so nice that you of course, we're always mentioning family, and I got a really nice comment from one of our listeners. She said, interesting to hear that Hawaiians use Vicks Vapor Rub, because in our Filipino household, Vapor Rub was also a go-to. I remember my mom always using tea leaf on our backs as well when we had a fever. So definitely cultural medicine and Vapor Rub with there. Kuehu, in your experiences with your family's healthcare, would you say that palliative care focuses on the patient versus the disease, is more aligned to the holistic approach of traditional or indigenous medicine?
That was another great sharing amongst my ohana here in Waikoloa last night, and we were just sharing about it. And I think majority of us agreed that yes, in a way it is, because it's that comfort that everyone looks for in that kind of situation, no matter what illness it is. I think everyone strives for better, for healing, for comfort. So that aligns perfectly with Hawaiian values and Hawaiian beliefs, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. There's kupuna like Tutumarika Venapukui, who left us with so many gems through that of wisdom. There's a Hawaiian proverb that says, "Ika olelo no kiola, ika olelo no kamake, for there is life in your language, and there can be death in your language too. So really what you speak out will come back to you. And that's a belief that everybody can relate to. What you put out is what you get back. So it's important that we kind of speak life and focus on that, of the healing, of getting better, of getting back to living, maybe not exactly how you used to live, but getting better, period, versus focusing on, oh, I'm sick, this is the end, there's no hope for me. So it's really mental, and it ties in with everything, how you speak and what you speak. So I think that ties in a lot with holistic care, and now that I'm learning more about palliative care too, it seems to align. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for your inputs. I love that olelo no eau. Thank you so much for sharing it. All right, there is our brain teaser bell, friends, and the question that is up on your screen is: early patient sign up ensures more support and quality of life for all. True or false? Again, if you are following us on Facebook Live, you will not be able to see the polls pop up, but we still want to hear from you. Feel free to put your answers right in that comment box. Does early patient sign up ensure more support and quality of life for all? True or false? Everyone is welcome to the fully engaged Zoom presentation. Just email me lopez@hawaiicarechoices.org and I will send you the link. Or we always love that you join us on Facebook Live as well, so continue to do so. All right, I'm going to end the poll right here and share the results. 100% of you said true. Early patient sign up ensures more support and quality of life for all. Thank you so much for your input. I'm going to say back to you, Lani.
Okay, great. So that's really great that everyone is truly listening and totally gets it, that it's really about the early sign up. So I think the beauty of palliative care is it puts the patient in control. And a lot of times in healthcare, I mean, I don't think it's intentional, but that's really what happens, is the patient just becomes almost like the volleyball in between all of the different services and treatments, et cetera. And so people start to get anxiety, largely because they don't feel like they have a choice, like they have any control on what is going on. So it's really important for us to create a goals of care plan. And when we do that, this is what happens is we basically will go to the person's house. And this is our expert team coming. And this is the other thing too, is that if there is anybody that I'd want coming to take care of my mom, I'd want the expert team to come. I mean, I don't want to be the one who knows nothing, but meanwhile, I'm trying to take care of my mom. I want you to know that that is predominantly how things happen now, is people are, for whatever reason, they're scared, they're ashamed, whatever. They don't want to call out for and ask for any help, but those days are gone, my friends. Those days are gone. Like, get in there and start getting some help for your loved ones. So what happens is we'll come to the house, we'll talk story with the patient and the family, or whoever the caregiver is, and the kinds of things that, you know, we would do besides, you know, getting the blood pressure and all that, that's really secondary compared to what are the life goals of the patient. And there is no amazement to me that none of it is medical. Like, whenever we're talking to a patient and their caregiver, their responses to their life goals have nothing to do with medical. So the kinds of things would be like, oh, I want to see my grandson play football. I want to go to my family's reunion out on Molokai. I want to join my class reunion in Vegas. I want, you know, these are the kinds of things that that really make a difference in somebody's life, where I still want to run the Ironman or do some kind of marathon. These are the kinds of life goals that people give us. Okay, so based on that, we start to write that down and get that all together. And then we start to work back on what kinds of treatments that someone can get so that we can ensure that they can do this. And the reason I share this with you is because there was a woman that we had on here, and her story was basically that at 21, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And immediately her doctor just scheduled her for surgery. And she was a newlywed at that time as well. And so her husband, completely in shock, like, I don't know how to be a caregiver, let alone, try to take care of my new wife with cancer. And now they're being told that she's going to go into immediate surgery. She just put the brakes on everybody and said, you know what, just hold up. I really don't know what I should be doing, etc. Well, what ended up happening is she didn't know anything about palliative care, but she learned about it from someone else and was able to connect with the social worker of a palliative care team. And the social worker asked her what her life goals were. And that's where it all opened up as to what kind of treatment she needed. In her life goals, this person shared that she was an avid cyclist. And it was really important for her to always be able to ride her bike and be in races and different things. Anyway, she had this surgery that she was scheduled for. She would never ride bike again. And do you see how without palliative care, she would have made an uninformed choice and just taken the treatment that she was directed to have. And that's because, again, I was saying to you, the physician is going to focus on the disease and treating that. Palliative care comes right in on the other side and focuses on treating the holistic part of the patient, everything that makes a difference, their values, their wishes, their priorities, all for the patient. And without the two, that's exactly what could happen, that disaster. And I tell you, it has happened so many times before. And it's because people just don't know that palliative care exists. Well, because she spoke to the social worker with the palliative care program, she was able to say to the cancer physician that no, she's not going to have that surgery and that she would like to go with alternative treatments, which she did, and which she still to this day continues to ride her bike. And as a result of this experience that she had, she too became such an advocate for palliative care that she hopes in one day, very soon in Hawaii, that palliative care will be a type of care that you can get that's automatically going to be covered under Medicaid. So these are the kinds of things that are happening with regard to palliative care, why it's so important and why early detection is so important as well. And largely because when people don't know that they can get these other choices, they will probably make the uninformed choice. Just imagine if somebody is told that they are diagnosed with breast cancer and then they go home and their first emotion is fear. It's absolute fear. However, with palliative care, when the team comes on immediately after diagnosis, even before the person has any kind of physical pain, they can already come in and start working with the patient and the caregiver and the family to show them different ways of managing, coping, and ultimately still living that quality life.
Lonnie, it's so nice to see that one of the things about palliative care is that they look at the whole person, right? They look at everything, like Kuehu was also mentioning too. It's not only physical, but emotional and spiritual as well.
Yes.
Kuehu, can you tell us what are your feelings about the current attitudes amongst Hawaiians to access modern medicine, especially dealing with a serious illness?
I want to say sometimes I think just people in general, not just Hawaiians, but we can be misinformed. We just go with what we know and we get complacent, but we don't ask those questions. And maybe that stems from us growing up too, because we're actually kind of taught, don't ask questions, don't question tutu, don't question mom and dad. What we say goes. And I think that kind of stays with us as we grow older. I cannot speak for everybody, but it can be a thought for some people. But no, it's important. The message I think we want to send nowadays that it's important to ask the questions when it comes to your health, because without our health, we can't do anything. We can't help others. So it's important to ask. So sometimes I think it's just misinformation, maybe just uninformed informed, and maybe they just make decisions based off of hearsay or assumption. Maybe it could be financial struggles. So I know it's different for different families, but this is how it starts, with having these conversations so that we can go out and share that there's another option, and we can start that chain reaction to inform and to share the good word that there's palliative care. There's always another option. Always ask those questions, because it's your health, it's your body, it's your mind, it's your spirit. So I cannot speak for all, but I think those are some of the few things that people can get caught up, maybe confused, misinformed, or financial struggles. So
Absolutely.
Don't be shame.
Yes, no be shame. And I really like that you brought that up, because on our Facebook Live comments here, we have that it is true that early patient sign up ensures quality of life and support for all. However, it's a good idea that they understand what they are signing up for. So again, that education, asking questions, and really understanding what is this whole package of palliative care. So thank you so much for adding that in. All right, back to you, Lani.
So I wanted to also say too that with palliative care, and it's just like Koihu says, sometimes we don't ask the questions that we'd like to. There's several reasons, just as he mentioned. One of them is because we need to be a good patient and not ask questions, because we got to get in and get out within 5 minutes, or we're going to get pinched, or whatever it is. But we are taught, that way, like, just don't make waves, just get in there and do it. But I find that I'll even mention to the doctors, if they notice that the caregiver that's coming in with the patient is looking really frail, that is a clear indicator that they definitely need to get palliative care, because they need to get support in the home to help the caregiver, because oftentimes the caregiver could get sicker than the actual patient if they don't get the support. And oftentimes we don't ask for that help. And that's something that we need to just stop doing that and just ask for the help, because that's really important. The other thing too is many times the caregiver needs to get support on how to manage all of the medications, because currently how medications are handled is it's not in one dashboard of this is all the medication that you're getting. When people go to their primary care physician, they're given a different medication. But say if they go to the emergency room or urgent care, they'll get different types of medication, and the pharmacist will not know that they're getting that medication. Maybe they go to their oncologist or whatever ologist that they go to, they may continue to get other medications. And then when they bring it all home, we have been in homes where we have seen on the coffee table over 50 jars of medication. And sadly, what's happening is a lot of those jars either belong to the deceased ex-husband or maybe to the adult children that no longer live there. And then there's a good percentage of that medication that is expired as well. So when we ask the patient, oh, which ones do you take? They'll say, oh, well, it depends. If I have sore back, I take this one. If, this is ailing me, I take this. I mean, that is such a scary thought that they're just being these novice pharmacists and deciding on their own what to take. So in palliative care, we'd come in, we do a review of all the medication. We call the physician, who still remains the lead on the team. And that physician will say, all right, no, Mrs. So-and-so doesn't need to be taking 21 different pills every day. That cut all of this back. She actually only needs these 7 medications, and help her fill her pill box, in which we do. And then here we are, right off the bat, 5% of her discomfort is immediately dissolved, because we were able to straighten up her medication, largely because a lot of that medication was counteracting other medications. And it's because the doctors that are prescribing have no idea that the other doctors are prescribing that as well. So until that whole system gets fixed, it's really, really good to have palliative care. And like I said, with the education that palliative care brings, it really reduces a lot of that anxiety, meaning if somebody can't breathe and, they're going to call 911 right away, if they understand that, okay, so daddy cannot breathe, we need to give him his medication, he needs to sit down, drink water, we're going to give him some oxygen and then he's going to be fine. You just wait, 5 minutes. And sure enough, when they actually get a couple of wins like that under their belt, there's no reason for them to want to go and call for the ambulance and start spending all this money that they don't have, when they actually were provided education on how to care for their loved ones.
Now listening to more of these palliative care secrets, are there any similarities to palliative care approach and the traditional ways of healing? Do you see any similarities there?
Big time. I'm learning along all of our viewers today as well. So big time. Don't be so quick to resort to modern medicine because it may not be as bad as you make it out to seem. Or sometimes we're just naturally, as humans, the flesh in us, resort to the worst, resort to the negative, resort to just the disease, the sickness, when maybe we can start to change our perspective through education and information like palliative care to help change our perspective on that, and rather to speak life and to speak positivity and think of the good and think of the better. So that's very Hawaiian spiritual thinking as well, whether it be through la'au lapa'au, traditional plants and medicine, or ho'oponopono, and many other ways to heal. So all along that same track of palliative care, it seems to align almost perfectly. So thank you, Lani.
Well, we are so happy that you are here to tell us all about that and just give your input as well. Back to you, Lani.
Okay, so for any of you on this call that have not gotten your advanced healthcare directive, if you're on any of our programs, our social worker will certainly make sure that you get one. But for any of you that don't have one yet, please take a look at this flyer here, because the wonderful team at Community First does an exquisite presentation on getting your advanced healthcare directive, and you get it for free. And when you finish the presentation, you actually walk out of there with an advanced healthcare directive. And for those of you who aren't really clear what that is, it's actually a plan, a direction as to what to do should you not be able to speak for yourself. Say something happened to you yesterday and you're at the hospital and you're unable to speak. This directive will share with your family on what preferences you would like with regard to your healthcare. Do you want to be connected to, a ventilator? Is that not how you want to go? All of these kinds of things are probably one of the greatest gifts you could ever give to your family, because just standing at bedside and then trying to decide what somebody wants, and then there is naturally a lot of conflict that comes up amongst the family when you have to guess. So this is a beautiful, really wonderful gift to your family. If you don't have an advanced healthcare directive, please contact our friends here at Community First. And Tisha's already put the link there in the chat so that you can sign up for their next one coming up in November.
Yes, I have. So feel free to go ahead and click on that link in the chat box, or real quickly, you can just put your phone up to that QR code to register. Ku'ehu, do you have your advanced healthcare directive yet?
I don't, but now that I'm learning about it along with all of you folks, our viewers, I should.
Baby. Sign up with Community First. They're awesome.
There you go.
They're
There's
awesome.
the opportunity, family. So mahalo.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Lani. Back to you.
So when it's time for a higher level of care, what's really interesting is my message throughout this entire presentation is we are living with whatever the illness is that a patient or a loved one might be dealing with. Make no mistake, they are living. So it's not we are dying with a serious or advanced illness. We are living with it, and this is the way that you can continue to live with it is by getting palliative care, or when it's time for a higher level of care, which is for those who have an advanced or terminal illness, then we are already in place to help people transition to that higher level of care, which is called hospice care. By the time people go to hospice care, it's largely because they don't want to have any kind of curative treatments. They don't want to go to dialysis anymore. They don't want chemotherapy or radiation. You really just want comfort-directed care. They want to just spend time, at the cookout with their family. They want to just go down the beach, watch all the grandkids swim. They just want to have their quality of life as they are choosing it. And in order to qualify for this highest level of care, it just takes a physician to give his or her best guesstimate on how long a person may have, whether it's 6 months or 6 months or more, 6 months or less. That will actually help qualify someone to get into this highest level of care known as hospice care.
Kuehu, I know first on, this is a really hard topic to talk about, but in your opinion, why do you think local families maybe don't get hospice care when it can help the patient and support the family as well?
I think, when a lot of us locals think of hospice, they think of the end, right? Because although it may be true for majority, it's not true for every single person. So it could be just misinformation again. It could be the fear rather than activating the faith, taking over the family, and every situation and every family is different. So I cannot speak for all, but it could be a plethora of things. It could be stress, it could be fear, it could be finances, it could be, it just hit the family now, it just hit me now that this is happening. And it's important to educate. That's where the education comes in. Inform yourself, educate yourself, ask those questions. Don't let fear or shame or the sickness itself hold you back from asking the questions. It's your health. It's the help is there, and now we're learning more about it. So go out and grab it should you need. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really like that, activating the faith and not the fear.
With the fear. Yeah. Don't submit to the fear too quickly. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, we are at our next brain teaser, and I'm going to go ahead and launch the question now. How is palliative care and hospice care the same? Both relieve suffering, both can be delivered in patients' homes, both improves the quality of life for patients and their families. Oh, Kalamaya have improves quality of life for patients and families twice, or all of the above. So go ahead, no right or wrong answer, just submit your best guess of the question and plug it right in there. For those of you following us on Facebook Live, thank you. And thank you for your comments that are coming in as well. You will also have the link to the Community First Advanced Healthcare Directive. So feel free to register. And we want to hear from you. How is palliative care and hospice care the same? Both relieve suffering, both can be delivered in patients' home, both improve the quality of life, or all of the above. All right, I'm going to go ahead and polling right there and share the results. 100% of you said all of the above. Yay, we're all clapping, all three of us. Round of applause for everyone. Yes, absolutely, it is all of the above. Thank you so much for participating in our polls. And back to you, Lonnie. Oh, let me get that slide switched for you. There we go.
All right. Mahalo, everyone. Before I cover this, I just want to say that sometimes people are not really sure when it's time for them to get the highest level of care. And so the kinds of physical changes that you will see is sometimes a person will tend to need multiple visits to the emergency room or even to the doctor's office. They'll start to show like they're losing a lot of weight or a steady amount of weight like over time. And then also, they don't really want to eat or drink anything. And this is the other thing too, is if you don't have a care team that is supporting you, a lot of times we equate eating with love or food with love. And so we keep saying to mom, you got to eat, you got to keep your strength up, you know, come on. And then some people actually get really frustrated and upset if their loved one doesn't eat. I want you to know, when you have a hospice care team surrounding your loved one, they will tell you right away that no, at some point they can't eat. They can't actually, the body can't actually process that food, and any forcing them of eating food when they can't actually process it is actually horrible for the patient. So again, it comes down to education as well. But if you don't have the experts helping you, those are the kinds of mistakes that we make unknowingly because we love our family. But this is why when you bring the expert in, they will help guide everyone. And then what happens too is you'll notice that maybe the patient sleeps a lot, is not eating that much, it's very difficult for them to get out of bed. Maybe it's equally as difficult to even bathe as well. These physical changes are very obvious. You don't have to have a medical degree to see that. But when it starts to show, then this is time for someone to come into the highest level of care. I remember when my mom's doctor told us, and my mom was at that time diagnosed with lung cancer, when the doctor said, hey, your mom can have hospice care at home now, I said, oh no, I don't think my mom's gonna be about that. I mean, she's pure Hawaiian woman, very stoic, very proud. She wasn't gonna be about that, and largely because she really believed that hospice meant death, where that, you know, maybe you only live 2 days after you sign up for hospice kind of thing. But anyway, he said, well, it's going to be completely covered, so why don't you go and talk to your mom? So we have a family of 8 siblings, and I'm the youngest. So I went and I told my mom, I said, Mom, guess what? You can get hospice care at home now. And then she said, hospice? Oh, I don't even like that word. Why are you bringing that up? I don't even need that. You know, I'm going to live very long. I don't need that at all. I said, oh, okay. All right, Mom. So it sounds like you're totally not into it. She goes, yeah, I don't need that. I said, oh, well, you know, because brother's already renting your wheelchair. I mean, I heard we can get free stuff. Free stuff. Oh, okay. Like what? I said, well, the wheelchair and, you know, hospital bed and all of that, even though you don't need it right now. I mean, we get it included. She goes, oh my God, I don't know. That's some kind of gimmick. I'm sure that that's not for real. I said, no, they said that it gets covered 100% with Medicare, which you have. So if you do hospice care at home, we can get it. Oh, well, you know what, go check. I mean, you know, silly. I mean, for us to waste the money if we can get them for free. I said, I know, Mom, I knew that you would think that. So why don't I call and find out? And if it's for real, then I'll just sign up. She goes, oh, okay. So anyway, we did. And, you know, 2 years prior to my mom being diagnosed with lung cancer, my father was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And his only wish to us was that he wanted to pass at home with the family, which we thought, piece of cake, Dad, we can do it. No problem. But one evening he couldn't breathe. Boom, we called 911. By the time we got to the hospital to meet him, he had already passed. So that was like a super epic fail on our part. But now here, 2 years later, we're with my mom. She has this expert hospice team that's coming over to the house. And of course, initially, she didn't want them to come over because who's these strangers? We don't know their family. Plus, we got to clean the house and all that. I said, Mom, they could care less, okay, if the house is clean. No, we got to clean the house, whatever. Anyway, once she became ma'a to them or used to them, which I'm telling you, it wasn't even 15 minutes. They were family to us already. She embraced them to come in. They took care of her. She lasted. She actually lived with her lung cancer for many more months than she was given by her doctor. And I truly believe that it was from the intentioned, loving care that she received from her hospice team at that time. And what ended up happening is, as months went on, she told me, oh, honey, you need to tell all these neighbors, you know, because we live Hawaiian homes, you know, go tell all the neighbors about this hospice thing, because I know that they don't know about it, and everybody should have this wonderful care. I said, okay, well, I think it's a little bit awkward, if they're not dealing with any kind of illness, but okay, I'll think about it. And she says, well, you know what, you figure it out. I just want you to promise that you're going to go around and tell everybody about this hospice care, because look at Daddy. He didn't even get any of this care. And now I got the benefit of all of this, and he did not. I don't want other families to lose out like he did. I said, okay, Mom, I promise you I will. And here we are, 10 years later, I'm here telling you and sharing with you and educating you about this wonderful services, not because it's my job, but because I made a promise to my mom. And I will say it this same way every single time, because I saw the benefits and love that they gave to my mom and all of us in our family, for my mom to not only celebrate a beautiful life, but also to celebrate a beautiful death as well. And so now my message, of course, my final message is to please contact us to get that quality care today. And it doesn't matter whether it's palliative care or hospice, or we can help you folks figure it out.
Thank you so much, Lani, for just always sharing your personal story. We've been doing Talk Story for almost 2 years now, and I always get a little choked up when you share that. And so it's so amazing. And friend, she is completely right. And you can get access to care. You can call us, you can email us, or you can visit our website. I want to say thank you so much for our listeners this morning on Healthcare Talk Story. A very special mahalo to our guest speaker, Ku'ehu Mauga, for joining us during your vacation in Waikoloa, but also for your
family. It was worth it. Thank you, Tish. Thank you, Lani. Mahalo, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And, just your helpful perspective on cultural and traditional medicine. I know you mentioned so many times that I can't speak for everybody, but just me. But that is so great that you have included your ohana in that, and you are able to share what they all kind of felt in today's talk story. So I want to let everyone know that if you have specific questions about you or your loved one's situation, please reach out to us. We have a very helpful team standing by that will answer all of your questions. You just call us at 969-1733. You can also email us at care@hawaiicarechoices.org, or ask your doctor if palliative care is right for you, because our hope is that you receive the right care at the right time. For those of you joining us on Zoom, I am going to share a quick survey. It will pop up on your screen. There are 6 questions. If you can choose the best selection for all 6, and then click the submit button below. It is anonymous and it will not be shared today, but it'll just help us to get your feedback on more presentations like these in the future. Again, I said we've been doing Talk Story for 2 years, and we're always changing and innovating, and it's because of your feedback. So we really, really appreciate that. For those of you on Facebook, please send your thumbs, your hearts, thumbs up, and your hearts and your mahalos to our guest speaker if you are invited to our fully engaged Zoom presentation next month. So the survey for all of our Zoom participants should be up there now. All right. Kuehu, again, mahalo for joining in, and your time taking, a vacation time. I'm sorry, but we know your ohana is also there and having fun. I heard some laughs and everything. Is there any last words you would like to say to our listeners, or any last thoughts?
Sure. Well, mahalo everybody for tuning in, whether you watch the replay later through social media or cross paths with anyone at Hawaii Care Choices. They've helped my ohana personally and many, many others. So continue to enjoy life as best as you can. Know that we're only passing through. It's temporary, but it's what we do in between, that dash between our birth date and the time we go home to Keaukaha, that really makes life worth living. So should you need the help, should you need the health care, should you need palliative care, no shame. Go out and ask those questions, and the benefits are priceless, like we talked about earlier. So mahalo for the opportunity to just share and to love up on one another. And aloha nui to all of you near and far. Thank you. Mahalo.
Thank you. mahalo. I love all of the
Mahalo, Keaukaha.
beautiful nuggets of information that you shared with us today. I will definitely be using a lot of those.
Sure.
Lonnie, is there any last words you'd like to say to our listeners?
I'm just feeling so grateful and thankful for all that we have, and that we had wonderful who joined us, and he shared his mana'o with us, and that we had listeners that joined us today, and hopefully we can share this with many, many more through social media, and also by having people come to visit our website as well, and just take all of this so they can live a wonderful, wonderful life.
Absolutely. Mahalo, you both, Lani, for sharing the secrets of palliative care, and Ku'ehu for sharing your insights on this. If you feel that you have, all of our listeners, if you feel that you have benefited from this presentation, please let your friends and family know. Like Ku'ehu said, and even like Lani said, it's all about the education and getting the word out there that this palliative care does exist. This support exists for you and your ohana as well. So share with them that they can join us on the 10th of every month, Facebook Live or on Zoom. Visit us for the link to register. We'll share it on social media. We'll share it on our page as well, hawaiicarechoices.org/healthcare talk story. Want to say mahalo again for joining us, and we'll see you next month right here on Healthcare Talk Story. Aloha.
Aloha.
Mahalo.